like to welcome you to the Goodhue County Law Enforcement Center and to our Law Enforcement Memorial Observation Service. Some of you may know this is National Police Week, and during this week, on this day, typically is the observation ceremony where we honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in our profession. And we appreciate you being here today and sharing in this moment for us, and it greatly means a lot to us because the support that we receive from you for just observing this ceremony and being here with us says a lot, and we are very grateful for that. I see some retirees here, which is nice to see as well, and members of both county and city departments that have attended, as well as the public, and we're very appreciative of that. Today's Master of Ceremonies is going to be Red Wing Police Chief Roger Pullman, and at this time he'll begin the service.
I would also like to extend my appreciation for you taking time out of your busy schedules to be here today as we remember those that have gone before us in our field of law enforcement and keeping our community safe. This time I would ask that you just allow a moment of silence as we reflect on those that have given the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. This time I'd like to call Pastor Justin Bowling from the United Lutheran Church forward for the invocation.
Pastor Carl Lunder, the chaplain of the force, wanted to be here today, but he's had some health concerns. I saw him in the hospital this day, and he wanted me to send his regards to all of you. Our invocation comes from Psalm 46. It's words of comfort and hope. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear. Though the earth should change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. And God is there, in the midst of the city. It shall not be moved. God will help it when the morning dawns. Even though the nations may be in an uproar, the kingdoms may totter, God will utter his voice. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge.
Thank you, Pastor Bowling. This time, will you please stand and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Next on our agenda, we will have the reading of the National Police Week Proclamation. The proclamation was signed by Mayor Bender. However, he was not able to be with us today. He had a business arrangements out of town. So in his place, our City Council President, Lisa Bailey, will read the proclamation.
Thank you, Chief. National Police Week, a proclamation. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States of America have designated the 15th of May as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agencies of Red Wing, Goodhue County, and the state of Minnesota unceasingly provide a vital public service, playing an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the city of Red Wing. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agencies, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Daniel D. Bender, Mayor of the City of Red Wing, call upon all citizens of Red Wing and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 11th to the 17th, 2014 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all our people may join in, commemorating law enforcement officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. Be it further resolved that I call upon all citizens of Red Wing to observe the 15th of May, 2014 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice and service to our community. Red Wing Police Chief James Daly and Officer John Peterson. And let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Daniel D. Bender, Mayor of the City of Red Wing, do hereby proclaim week of May 11, 2014 to be National Police Week in Red Wing, Minnesota.
Thank you, President Bailey. I also would like to just mention that we do have another officer that gave his life in the line of duty within Goodhue County. Since the proclamation was signed by our mayor for within the city, just Chief Daly and Officer Peterson were the only ones mentioned in the proclamation. However, we do not want to forget our brother in law enforcement, Officer Sean Snyder, who passed away in 2011 serving his community in response to a domestic violence call. So we also remember him as a member of our Goodhue County law enforcement community. The next area on our agenda, I think all of us in law enforcement know that annually we have to recertify on our use of force training. And a lot of our training in the protection of the constitutional rights of our citizens and our community comes through court decisions and court opinions, whether it be an appellate court or our Minnesota State Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court. We rely heavily on those opinions to help guide our actions and how we enforce the law. Therefore, it is a great honor for me to introduce our next presenter, and also very humbling to introduce our next presenter, Associate Justice Wilhelmina Wright of the Minnesota Supreme Court. Associate Justice Wilhelmina Wright was appointed to the Minnesota Supreme Court by Governor Mark Dayton, where she has served since September 27, 2012. Justice Wright was previously appointed by Governor Jesse Ventura to the Minnesota Court of Appeals, where she served from September 3, 2002 to September 26, 2012. Previously, she served as a trial judge on the Ramsey County District Court in St. Paul. She has served as a member of the Minnesota Judicial Council, the Minnesota Courts Public Trust and Confidence Work Groups, and the MSBA Task Force on the ABA Model Rules for Professional Conduct. Justice Wright graduated with honors in literature from Yale University in 1986, and she received her Juris Doctorate from Harvard Law School in 1989. Prior to joining the bench, Justice Wright was an assistant U.S. attorney for the District of Minnesota, where she represented the United States in complex economic fraud cases and violent crime cases in the United States District Court and the United States Courts of Appeals for the 8th Circuit. She was awarded the United States Department of Justice Special Achievement Award in 1997 and the United States Department of Justice Director's Award for Public Service in 2000. Before joining the U.S. Attorney's Office in 1995, Justice Wright practiced with the Washington, D.C. law firm of Hogan and Hartson, LLP, in the education and litigation practice groups. She primarily represented school districts across the nation seeking to enhance educational opportunities for public school students. After law school, Justice Wright was a law clerk for the Honorable Damon J. Keith of the United States Court of Appeals for the 6th Circuit. At this time, it is my honor to introduce Associate Justice Wilhelmina Wright.
Thank you, Chief Pullman, Sheriff McMillan, Lisa Pritchard Bailey, who I know before her presidency and knew from our time in Washington, D.C. To the judges who are here, you honor me by your presence, Judge Clark, Judge Mark, Judge Bibas. And thank you to the law enforcement officers, the peace officers who are here, those who are currently active and those who are retired, and those who support them through their work. It is such a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate you inviting me to this important annual service in remembrance of brave officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty. I'm honored to be here with you today to commemorate the profound sacrifices and extraordinary commitment to public service that our brave peace officers make to our community every day. We're fortunate to have a rich tradition of public service here in Minnesota. And no one better exemplifies that tradition than our law enforcement professionals. You are brave, patriotic leaders who are unfailingly committed to our communities. And like many of our other public servants, including elected officials and judges, peace officers in Red Wing and across the state take an oath to uphold the constitutions of the United States and the state of Minnesota. Given all that our law enforcement professionals do for the people of Minnesota, it is only fitting that a memorial to fallen officers now stands in front of the state of Minnesota Capitol, among the many other symbols of our state and monuments to people who have sacrificed to make Minnesota great. That memorial is illuminated at night with a thin blue line. Many of you, no doubt, have visited the Peace Officers Memorial on the Capitol grounds, and perhaps you recall that it is inscribed with the words, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Those familiar and eloquent words are part of this longer passage from the book of Matthew. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This solemn tribute honors the bravery that we associate with peace officers. Yet it is fitting that the memorial's creator chose a passage that emphasizes mercy, humility, and peace. What we ask from our law enforcement professionals is not only that they face grave risks with courage, but also that they show mercy to the vulnerable they encounter on the street, exercise authority with humility, and de-escalate volatile situations. Yes, this is a great deal to ask of any person. Yet our law enforcement officers display these virtues every day in service to our communities in Red Wing, our state, and our nation. The law enforcement officer's role as peacemaker is critical to the proper functioning of our justice system. During my time as a prosecutor and as a judge, I have come to appreciate the vital role that law enforcement officers play in our criminal justice system. Sadly, as judges in the criminal justice system, we often see people at their worst and most vulnerable. So too it is true of our law enforcement officers who are often on the front lines of our community, responding to distress calls and responding to crime scenes, making traffic stops and serving arrest warrants. Our officers know too well that each of these difficult situations involves inherent risks, both to public safety and to the safety of the officers themselves. Day after day, in communities across our state and our nation, and in Red Wing, peace officers put public service and collective peace ahead of their personal safety. And it is only fitting that we pause today to reflect on the extraordinary dedication of the law enforcement officers who protect and serve our communities so faithfully. They truly are heroes in our midst who inspire us to be better than our ordinary selves. For that, we are so grateful. Yet we know these officers do not serve alone. They are families, family members, loved ones, and friends who experience enormous pride, but also anxiety and worry. At events like this one, it is with gratitude that we pause to give thanks and recognition to our law enforcement officers and their families and loved ones. We thank you for their service. We thank you for the sacrifices, large and small, to make our lives safer and more joy-filled. With gratitude we gather, we remember, and we celebrate those among us who have dedicated their lives to keeping the peace in our communities. And we remember our fallen heroes. In particular, we honor and remember Red Wing Police Chief James Daly, who lost his life in service on January 15, 1907. Officer John Peterson, who made the ultimate sacrifice in service on January 15, 1907. And Officer Sean Snyder, who was taken from us in service on December 30th, 2011. Thank you for gathering today to honor our peace officers. God bless you, and may God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Wright.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to ask Pastor Bolding to please come forward for a closing prayer.
I invite you to bow your heads and let us pray. Gracious God, you are the Prince of Peace, and your memory knows no bounds. As we gather today in this place, and people do this throughout the country, to remember those peace officers who have died before us, and service not just to us, but to this country, we ask for the peace that only you can give, to be poured out upon friends and colleagues and family members. Grant comfort to all who are bereaved, so that we may celebrate the lives and the service of those who have passed in your care, and joyfully anticipate the day when we are all reunited in the one great company of the saints in light. Amen.
At this time, with us today from Red Wing High School, we have Yu Zhang will play taps in honor of those that have given their lives.
Thank you.
Thank you. As we close, I would like to give special thanks to the Red Wing Police Park Benevolent Association for funding today's event. And also, I would like to thank our maintenance staff here in the Law Enforcement Center for setting up the lobby for this ceremony. And thank our clerical staff in the Law Enforcement Center here for serving of the cake and root beer floats upstairs in the law enforcement classroom. And I invite all of you, upon completion of our ceremony, to go to the top of the stairs and enjoy some refreshments. That's it today. Thank you for coming. And again, may we never forget our fallen comrades. Thank you.